How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. When you look back at the Atrix 4G on AT&T, which launched in February, we can say a couple of good things about it. It had a dual-core processor. Actually, it was the first to have a dual-core processor, that NVIDIA Tegra 2 chip inside of it, but it also had a great accessory ecosystem. You look at the lap docks, you look at some of the HD media docks, some of the stuff that you could buy separately, and it was a great all-around device. Well, Motorola's added again with the Atrix 2, which is available now on AT&T. Now, design-wise, this one's changed a little bit. It has the same dual-core 1 GHz processor, even though this time around it's a TI OMAP processor. It does increase the display to 4.3 inches, and it's a QHD display with no pin tile technology. So you're not dealing with the pixelation. It's a little bit less bright, but not dealing with the pixelation. 8-megapixel camera on the back in place of a 5-megapixel camera, and it shoots 1080p HD video as well. Good looking design, 1,735 milliamp hour battery, and best of all, it's available from AT&T for $99.99 and even $50 in some retailers. That's a pretty good price for a high-end device. Is this the one you should get, or should you go with maybe the iPhone 4S or the Galaxy S2 on AT&T? We'll find out in the full review, but first, special thanks to our boys at Best Buy for hooking us up with phones like this and phones like the iPhone 4S for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, all that stuff. So when you walk out the door, your internet, your email, your phone call, your voicemail, everything's set up and ready to go at Best Buy Mobile. Let's get into the full review now. Motorola Atrix 2. Take a look at the widgets on this device. Again, like I said, it has Motorola's custom user interface running atop Android 2.3.5 or Gingerbread. So we can take a look here and see. It brings up this add to home screen, which I think some of the other platforms do it a little bit better, like Samsung's TouchWiz 4.0, where it kind of subtly brings it up down here in the bottom and then allows you to pan between your home screens up at the top. So it's kind of nice to it's kind of nice there. I hope Motorola adopts that in a future build of Motorola's UI, if they even keep it around, assuming the Google buyout is approved. But we'll take a look here at the widgets. You can see a lot of different Motorola widgets, airplane mode toggle, Bluetooth toggle, and then you can see some of the stock Google stuff like Google Search, Latitude, Market, things like that. But you do get a lot of different options here, picture frames, traffic, weather, and more. So you can see a couple of the ones I have on here. Weather, for example, I have calendar. I have all the toggles here, so I can toggle between airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. And then I can go over here, and let's just add another one for fun. Let's do how about date and time? That works. And we'll do a clock style of digital and bring it up just like that. Now the cool thing about these is not only can you move them around the screen, but on Motorola's custom UI you can customize the size of the actual widgets themselves. So you can see I just customized it, and this one kind of makes me mad because it doesn't go down into the size I used to prefer. But you can see, for example, you can make this the date widget. Hang on a sec. Okay, let's customize. Let's try this again. It's going wild on me here. Okay, come on. There we go. Okay, perfect. So you can customize it all the way down there if you wanted to and have a gigantic upcoming meetings list. I can go over here and change the size to that if I wanted to and make it like that. So what the real benefit is, and TouchWiz 4.0 does this, but what the real benefit is here is if you have a home screen like this, for example, and you're like, I have my date and time widget like that, and I want to add something over here. Well, thanks to customizable widgets, I have the space, or have the ability to do that. I can add 1 or 2 extra widgets, and while I love widgets like HTC's widgets, try to see how many times I can say widgets in this little 1-minute block. While I love HTC's widgets, they're not customizable. They're very beautiful, and they have some small ones, but you can't customize them to fit the actual home screen itself. So if you're out of space, you're out of space, and you're out of luck. So it's a nice touch there, and I really like the fact that the customizable widgets are there. Now that said, they're not as pretty. They are a little bit kind of choppier, a little bit uglier, the more brash in terms of the curves as opposed to something like Sense, which has the well-rounded widgets as well. So a little bit of a difference there, but nothing major by any means. So let's take a look at the phone, the dialer, and I want to make sure that I haven't dialed any recent numbers. Okay. You can see here a big difference, and it's funny because when you look at these Android devices, you can really see the differences across the board. They're all running Gingerbread, or quite a few of the recent releases are running Gingerbread, but you can see the differences in the caller and the phone apps. For example, both of these are running 2.3, but just to show you, completely different phone applications. So you have dialer, recent, contacts, and favorites up top. And I can see my recent calls and group those by all missed, received, or outgoing calls. I have my favorite contacts, and I have my contacts themselves over here. And I can go down to Billy Bob, for example, and see the picture if I wanted to, if I had him set as a favorite, my contact history with him, some notes, some call home, and the message home you can see I haven't called him on this device, so I have no contact history, but we can go in here and edit, and you have a reasonable number of fields. It shows me that he's stored in my Old Man McTweety account. And then I have phone, email, postal address, organization, IM, notes, nicknames, and more that I can store in the contact if I so desire. So, not necessarily up to par in terms of personal information management as some of the other platforms, but still a nice medium. And all in all, Motorola does a pretty decent job on that. Let's take a look at Quadrant Standard. And again, keep in mind, take benchmarks with a grain of salt because they're not really indicative of day-to-day performance, but it's always fun to kind of see and compare to your own device or maybe another device you're considering. But I will tell you, Motorola is exceptional in the call quality department. They have exceptional call quality. This device is no exception. The speaker is nice and loud, or the earpiece is nice and loud, rather. I had no problems hearing people. People had no problems hearing me. And the wireless radio is phenomenal on this device. I took it to an AT&T dead spot in the Charlotte metro area, actually in South Charlotte. And despite having between 0 and 1 bars, I was able to hear my caller just fine. A little choppy at times, but for the most part was able to hear perfectly. So, if you're looking for that device, maybe you live in an AT&T fringe area, or you go to an area regularly or work in an area where service isn't great, go with something like the Atrix 2 because the wireless radio is second to none so far based on what I've tested throughout the year. They really do a great job. We'll see here. Quadrant Standard 2217 on this device. And I'll bring it in so you can take a look. 2217. Let's do a speed test. And the speed test gods don't really like me whenever I'm doing these videos, so I always find that my lowest numbers come in pretty often when I'm doing these speed tests. But you can see here, I've seen speeds, between about 1.36 megabits per second. I've seen them all the way up as high as 5 megabits per second. And I've been averaging, I'd say between 2 and 5 pretty regularly with some low ones here, 1.36 and 1.81. So we'll take a look and begin the test, for example, and you can see I've been very pleased with data speeds. Even when I'm in an area like my home doesn't get fantastic AT&T coverage, but even when I'm in that area, I see consistent download speeds, between 1.5 and 2 megabits per second mostly. So, I've been pretty pleased. Even with 1 or 2 bars of service, it's been perfectly fine. So you can see it's running pretty quickly here, 5 megabits per second on the download, and about 1 megabit per second on the upload. Now again, the benefit here is GSM, it's HSPA+, so you can call and surf at the same time. So if you're on the phone, you need to look up a date, you need to look up reservations to a restaurant like the AT&T commercial implies, you can do that on the Atrix 4G. It's something you can't do on most CDMA devices without Wi-Fi being turned on. So something to keep in mind. But 5 megabits per second, 1 megabit per second on the upload, and just to give you an idea of where I'm at, my office is in Uptown Charlotte, so I'm right in the center city. And I've had pretty similar results. All those tests you saw were kind of taken around different places. So all in all, I've been pretty impressed with the data speeds on this device. It's been pretty impressive. So let's take a look at Gmail here because I want to show you what it looks like as well. No real changes here, but you can see Motorola's blue color scheme is definitely involved here. And we can go into, let's see, what can we go into? Add new fresh music, or add fresh new music. And you can see, show pictures, and scroll up and down. You see the header stays at the top, so when you're halfway through the email and you're kind of like, I need to respond to this person. Who was it that sent me the email again? And again, so you can see the transition effects. I can simply go up here to the bar and hit reply, reply all, or forward directly from the header itself. So nice improvements to Gmail. Overall looks good, and I like the ability, quick and easy to read or check a bunch of emails and click read all, and likewise check a bunch of emails if you want to make those unread. You can do the same as well. Let's take a look at the camera now. It has an 8 megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, and I'm actually going to spin this around. So we'll take a picture of this, for example, my media badge from the Motorola event, which is for whatever reason hanging on my tripod over here on my desk. So we'll take a picture of the media thing, and you can see it autofocus is in on its own. It has a physical camera button, but the camera button doesn't have manual autofocus. As soon as you press it, it focuses on its own and takes the picture. So once you click that button, be sure you want to take the picture because it's going to go off and do it on its own. Now, the on-screen button I can press and hold, and you can kind of see that. Let me see, get it in the viewfinder here so you can see. And I can press and hold it, and it zooms in on its own. And that's what the picture looks like. So all in all, you had a pretty impressive picture quality. And again, keeping in mind that this device is $99, it's pretty impressive. Even when I zoom in, pretty clear there, easy to read the text. You can see the video I shot yesterday in 1080p, just to show you what it looks like on the device.
Hey, look, aren't those flowers pretty? What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDoc.com, and hey, you want to go get a steak?
at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Welcome to Charlotte, by the way. This is 1080p HD video recording on the Motorola Atrix 2. You can see. So you can see that there, pretty easy to see on the device. And all in all, go take a look at it on YouTube or on PhoneDog. But I've been pretty impressed with the video quality as well. Picture looks good, sound looks great. It was windy that day, and you can't hear much of the wind, which is really nice. The noise cancellation is pretty decent on this device itself. So there's a close-up of my jeans, and you can see they're easy to see the fibers fibers on the jeans, and you can see the fabric or the stitching right there. So good picture, pretty impressed with it. And again, keeping in mind that this is a $100 device, I think it's the best bang for the buck on the market right now. So the Motorola Atrix 2, it's available now at AT&T. It's available for $99.99. This is a device I would carry in a heartbeat. The specs are right up to par with the other high-end devices on the market. The dual-core processor is nice. The 1,735 milliamp hour battery in the back is definitely enough to make it through about 10 to 12 hours with moderate use, which is right on par with most other Android devices. And it's a good device. It's $100, and it performs well. And I think it's in terms of bang for the buck, I think it's the best device on AT&T. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with the Atrix 2. Be on the lookout for dogfights between this and some of the other high-end devices on the market, the Amaze 4G, the Galaxy S2, and more. So keep it locked on PhoneDog.com, and always like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're always doing contests. We have some super cool content that we post on Facebook. We're in there, in and out from time to time, myself and Sydney. So check it out, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Follow me on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Thanks so much for watching. As always, we'll see you next time.